My name is Landon Johnson. Today I will be discussing the extent to which cancel culture undermines social cohesion and interpersonal trust in the United States. The phenomenon of cancel culture has existed in the U.S. since the late 20th century and has played an integral role in shaping communities within the U.S. Cancel culture originated as a way to impose accountability upon an entity, especially within digital communities. However, its responses to it vary, skipping due process and resulting in permanent harm to an individual's livelihood, with little to no chance for redemption. As of 2024, only 34% of Americans believe that most people can be trusted, a decline from 46% in 1972. The Pew Research Center links to developing issues such as cancel culture, where social accountability is abandoned in lieu of permanent ostracization, weakening social cohesion, and increasing self-censorship in the U.S. population. Furthermore, the U.S. Surgeon General found that poor social connections, such as those caused by cancel culture, are strongly linked to a 29% increase in the risk of heart disease and a 32% increase in the risk of stroke, solidifying the negative physical impacts of cancel culture, weakening social cohesion and trust. However, despite its many negative and physical health impacts, social cancel culture continues to exist as a form of pseudo-uprightness, destroying individuals who worked hard to better themselves. Although cancel culture can act as an acceptable form of social accountability, its negative effects must be understood by the general public to prevent mental, physical, and emotional harm to innocent or misunderstood individuals. Which leads me to my research question. To what extent does cancel culture undermine social cohesion and interpersonal trust in the U.S.? To answer this question, cancel culture's impact on political stances must be considered. Political affiliation plays a major role in cancel culture, increasing the partisan divide and reducing interpersonal trust in the U.S. This disparity broadens farther when considering that less educated Republicans are more likely to view cancel culture as accountability, in contrast to the Democratic Party, in which more educated Democrats are more likely to view cancel culture as accountability. Ultimately, this disparity in beliefs and belief formation regarding cancel culture between U.S. political parties broadens the partisan divide by focusing on differences rather than shared objectives, weakening interpersonal trust with the alienation of political opponents, and minimizing the positive impacts of the peer exposure route. Vi et al. Reveals that interpersonal trust is harmed by political parties' use of cancel culture to further their political framings of abuse, by unveiling that 78% of Democrats blame white nationalists for inciting violence at the Capitol, while only 11% of Republicans believe this to be true. Junsu Lim, researcher for Surface at Syracuse University, discovered that 26% of conservative Republicans observe cancel culture as censorship, while only 10% of Democrats hold this view, thus illuminating that disparities regarding cancel culture and its usage exist within parties, leading to the formation of subunits within parties, not solely further broadening the partisan divide and reducing interpersonal trust between parties, but also cancel culture's impact on well-being must also be taken into consideration. Cancel culture directly and indirectly harms the physical and mental health of not only its targets, but also its instigators and observers. The social exclusion caused by cancel culture can trigger the brain to respond to physical discomfort, unveiling the consequences of canceling on the psyche. Moreover, such episodes lasting only 2 minutes result in physiological pain. While this demonstrates cancel culture's ability to inflict physical, psychological, and emotional pain upon its victims, it neglects to provide direct examples of it causing medical harm. In addition to these findings, the U.S. Surgeon General's office has identified that the lack of social connection imposed by cancel culture is more physically harmful than smoking 15 cigarettes a day. This cognitive and physiological decline exasperates the dangers of cancel culture, highlighting not only its negative effects on U.S. society, but also its impacts on the well-being of U.S. citizens. Cancel culture's damage to social interactions must also be considered. Cancel culture damages open social interactions, barring true social cohesion. A primary example of this prevalent issue is the alarming 81% success rate of deplatforming attempts in major U.S. universities. Alex Bronzini Bender, student of Harvard University, the lowest ranked university in FIRE's 2024 analysis of campus freedom of speech, implies that universities such as Harvard are essentially institutionalizing cancel culture by setting the bar for acceptable speech as not polarizing, leaving no guarantee of free speech being allowed on campus. Joseph A. Custer of Case Western University, Reserve University's School of Law, that while censorship has protections under the First Amendment, cancel culture is not protected by the First Amendment, but rather violates it. This compilation of work emphasizes the social impacts of cancel culture by providing a diverse and self-supporting body of evidence illustrating the social harm and perils caused by the institutionalization of cancel culture as a toxic societal construct in the U.S. So, after recognizing the complexity of these issues, I developed two potential solutions. Our first solution is calling it, which has a focus on contextualizing rather than canceling. It provides chances to learn from the issue by avoiding mob mentality and avoiding immediate knee-jerk condemnation of public mistakes. It also avoids making private matters public. The limitations of this issue are that it is ineffective in the case of emergent safety concerns. It prioritizes relationship stability over progress and favors negative peace over justice. Our second solution is the collaborative adaptation of media laws. To combat this issue, the U.S. government must collaborate with private platforms to establish appropriate guidelines and protections for cancel culture and its coexistence with free speech. One such proposal is that platforms be stripped of Statute 230 immunity if they host particularly egregious or illicit content, farther expanding upon the solution platforms whose algorithms promote extremist content or content related to terrorism or civil rights violations would lose Statute 230 immunity, thereby preventing incomplete or false information from spreading without any action to counterbalance it. Pippa Norris of Harvard Kennedy School found that in 2019, the UK Human Rights Commission released new university guidelines protecting free speech after concerns of deplatforming speakers through censorship. While other pushes to implement laws regarding private platforms have failed, it is because they sought to control content rather than simply modify an existing law that is recognized as constitutional and enforce legal accountability for any undue harm caused by cancel culture. The limitations of this is that it has potential First Amendment violations due to the simple fact that the First Amendment prevents most government restrictions of free speech, expression, media, and etc. Other regulations seeking similar impacts, such as Florida's State Senate Bill 7072, have been rejected by the court system as unconstitutional, narrowing the odds for any further laws directly seeking to control or limit the First Amendment's freedoms online. The implications of this: the implementation of an appropriately reformed Statute 230 would help to mitigate the negative impacts of cancel culture, whilst enabling it to coexist with true freedom of speech by allowing those unjustly targeted to legally retaliate and defend themselves. Overall, cancel culture is causing American trust and well-being to decline, and without changes made to media laws and regulations, this decline will continue to grow exponentially, resulting in the restriction of First Amendment rights by citizens. This is my works cited page. Thank you for your time.
Okay, we'll get started with the questions. All right, so Landon, what information did you need that you were not able to identify identify or locate, and how did you go about trying to find that information?
I needed information on how cancel culture negatively affects interpersonal or inter-party trust and struggled to locate unbiased information due to its inherently partisan nature. To remedy this issue, I broadened my search to include a wider context of cancel culture within the political sphere. And then, after viewing a broad spectrum of evidence and viewpoints, both biased and unbiased, I again narrowed my search to focus on hard statistical facts amongst the political miasma. This method produced compelling evidence in the form of raw data on the views of both Republican and Democratic parties from Pew Research Center, which revealed that 75% of Democrats observe cancel culture as a form of accountability, whilst only 39% of Republicans hold this view. I was able to support this with further data from Valle et al., implicating that such disparities are made intentionally, such as 28% of Republicans blaming Antifa for participating in the riots, compared to 11% of Democrats.
Thank you. And the next question, if you had more time, what additional research would you conduct related to this issue?
If I had more time, I would research the extent to which cancel culture is a natural and necessary function of justice in the modern world, to further delve into the implications it carries for free speech. Such research would allow for the production or refinement of more efficient and logical solutions to not only protect free speech from cancel culture, but also the people who suffer unduly at other